I can, I made
You
this
have to
line.
promote me. You have to put me, you have to allow me on your end.
Yeah, you've been allowed. Hold on. Um,
No, I haven't.
let's not mention. Okay, try again. There's two options. It says who can share, all panelists. Who can start sharing, all. So there's no other setting here.
Yeah, who can start sharing when someone else is sharing? You should take out, okay, open all panelists.
Yeah, all. Yeah, that's what it says. Who can start sharing when someone else is sharing, all. So you should be, because I just did it with Ginny. So we can stop each other. So you just have to click the share and whatever comes up.
I am. I'm clicking the share and okay. Now I am able to. You see me now? You see me? Priscilla.
Yes, I see it. I see it. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now, okay, hold on. I gotta go to my Alibaba. I wanted to share this screen. So we do webinars every day?
Not every day. Well, not every day. The COVID webinars are every Wednesday and Fridays every other week. And then we still have our regular webinars, which is on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So we give webinars at least 3 out of 4 weeks. There's 1 week in the month where we're not giving a webinar.
Okay.
So it's a little bit.
So I'm gonna go a little bit in depth in this platform. And
all right, so you're sharing. I gotta share my slides first. So when I'm done, then you can share yours.
Okay, so
I'm gonna interrupt yours for now.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, so leave your screen up, and she's asking me, do you want to stop sharing? Yes. And then I'll put this one up, and
okay, so then
once I introduce you, once you see I get to the page where I get to here with your picture.
Can you change my picture? That's like 10 years ago.
you want me to use
my picture? Can I use the same picture? I sent you new pictures.
There's a black and white one I know somewhere here. Let's see.
No, wait. Let me just, can I email it to you like right now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh. I wish I looked like that now. I wish I looked like that.
There was a black and white one we had, but your head was cut off on it, and we didn't like. I was like, this one don't look that great, so we went back to this one.
No. Yeah, use that one. I just sent.
All right.
I mean, I wish I was like that now. Gee.
Let me see if it came real quick. Because we're live now, so let me try. Okay.
Yay! a little 20 pounds on, but.
All right, so let's see. We have one person. Oh, someone is already on. Okay. All right. We'll mute Carmen. So we'll start at 3. So I'm muting until then.
Okay. So we already checked. We already checked that I'm going to be able to share my screen once I go like this.
Yeah, you can interrupt me. Just if you do new share and you attempt to do it, it'll give you a notice letting you know you're going to interrupt me.
Okay. All right.
All right. So see you in about 7 minutes.
All right.
Carmen, are you going to answer questions during or at the end?
Ay, Dios.
Hello. I guess we'll get started here. Let's see how many people. Okay. Okay, we'll get started. Pleasant good afternoon to everyone. If you can see the screen and hear my voice, if you can please just type yes in the chat box. Okay, great. Wonderful. Okay. Again, so a pleasant good afternoon to everyone. My name is Priscilla Liebert Calder, the event coordinator here at the NJSBDC at Rutgers-Newark. And on behalf of Dr. Tendai Ndoro, the regional director, I would like to welcome you to our webinar, How to Pre-Qualify Online Suppliers. For those of you who are unaware, the New Jersey Small Business Development Center at Rutgers-Newark is the premier provider of business training and technical assistance services to establish small businesses, startups, and entrepreneurs in New Jersey, but more in particularly those in Essex County. We are one of 12 centers in the NJSBDC network, and our center is hosted by Rutgers Business School and funded through a public-private partnership agreement between the SBA, Rutgers University, and the New Jersey Business Action Center. Our mission is to help entrepreneurs and business owners start and grow sustainable, successful businesses through one-on-one business consulting, training, and technical assistance programs. For the benefit of those attending today's webinar, audio has been muted for participants, and we'll be taking questions via the chat or the Q&A feature here. I guess we're expecting quite a bit. If not, then we'll try our best to enable chat, but for now, enable audio. But for now, please feel free to post your questions in the chat box or the Q&A, and we'll do our best to answer those questions throughout the presentation. A copy of the presentation slides along with a video recording of this webinar will be sent out within 48 hours of the airing of this presentation. So it is now my pleasure to introduce to you our presenter for today's presentation, Carmen Morris. She is the founder of Business Mastery Coaching Services. She's also an SBDC consultant here at Rutgers-Newark, specializing in various expertise such as international trade, strategic planning, and she deals a lot with established businesses. And so most of you, if you've been in business for quite some time, and you are a client of the center, you may have already been familiar with her. So without further ado, I will turn this over to Carmen Morris. Carmen, are you with us?
I'm right here.
Okay, good.
How's everyone doing? As Priscilla said, my name is Carmen Morris. I will be conducting the webinar for today. For those of you that don't know me, I am the CEO and founder of Niviari and Associates, and doing business as BMCS, which is Business Mastery Consulting Service. I also own another company, which is Niviari Global Trade, which I do export and import. And this is where I learned all of my skills in the area of sourcing and exporting and importing from other countries into the US. I've been in the industry for about a little bit over 30 years. I am also a curriculum coach with Partners Worldwide. I train the field, I train the trainers in about 28 countries. So that keeps me busy part of the time. But for today, we're going to be discussing on how to pre-qualify suppliers. There is a process that you have to go through. There is a process that I am going to be speaking basically on my experiences. I'm not going to be recommending any particular platform, but I'm going to go with you through some platforms and 7 things to consider when you're sourcing products. It can be quite difficult to trust someone that you've never seen, especially online. There's a lot of scams going on. And there's a lot of people posting as vendors and companies and big companies and make it look pretty legit online. And this is the reason going through these 7 things that you consider, you create kind of a platform on how to pre-qualify those suppliers. I will be discussing the differences between a vendor and a supplier. I'll be honest with you, I mainly deal with suppliers, but I'm going to explain to you for the sake of those who are vendors who are here right now on this webinar, I'll discuss with you the differences. So, because these 2 terms are used kind of interchangeably in the industry. We would also be talking about the best fit for your business. What type of suppliers can fit my business model? How to simultaneously negotiate and pre-qualify a supplier at the same time. This is something that you do later after you kind of experience in the area of sourcing for products, whether it be online or any other platform or source. Resources that are available to you and also where to go. If you have a question, I suggest that you look into just writing it down, and at the end, as Priscilla said before, she's going to go through the questions, and I'd rather you have that on hand, and that my goal is to answer all your questions by the time we end this webinar today. So what is the difference between a vendor and a supplier? Many industries and many people use it as if it's the same, but in the industry in large, it is not the same thing. A supplier are often referred to as businesses that make goods available to other businesses. So this is strictly B2B, business to business. A supplier does not do business with anybody in the retail industry. However, there are suppliers that manufacture what is called overruns. And they normally, I come across these a lot in China. They normally put it up for sale and they sell it at a wholesale level. So some suppliers can go ahead and do business with another person or a vendor, but mainly this is only business to business. A vendor is a business person, a business or a person that is purchasing products or services from a company. You often hear Amazon vendors, Shopify vendors. These platforms normally provide you with vendors. Vendors normally deal with someone in a retail basis. So these two terms are very used, sometimes are used as if it's the same, but it's very much different. As I said before, I'm going to be referring more to suppliers, but you can use the same platform and fundamentals in the way that you qualify either or. So let's discuss about the 7 things to consider. Determining the sourcing strategy. That is the first thing. I often get calls from different companies asking me, I need to source this raw material or product. This is what takes the most time in your sourcing. When you're putting together data strategy, when you're profiling, making the perfect match between your company and the particular supplier. Creating a platform for potential resources. I'm gonna be discussing and going through various platforms that I have had experience and ones that I've been working with for almost 20 years. And not that I'm going to be recommending any particular platform, I have to disclose that, but I will be showing you the main platform that I do business with for many years, that a lot of people get scammed and a lot of people are afraid to go on, because you do. Trust me, if you are seeking for suppliers online, there are a lot of scammers there that are also looking for you. So this is why you have to do your due diligence in looking for the best fit for your business model. Now, qualifying suppliers, we're going to spend a lot more time on how to do that. There is no one specific way. There is a way, a model, and a system that you use to profile a supplier the best, that's best for your business. How to avoid scams, looking for the red flags. What are the red flags? We're going to discuss some of those. And if you have any specific question, if you came on this webinar because you are now experiencing some difficulties in finding suppliers online and in making sure that you're not going to lose your money or that you're not getting scammed, this is the place where you can ask me any question. I may not know them all, but in the last 30 years, I have come across so many scammers. They've tried to look very legit, but I always consider this red flag. What is it? And then I add two and two together, and then I say, okay, this doesn't fit my company, this doesn't fit my model or my requirements. Then we're going to talk about conducting a risk analysis also. So if you follow these steps, you can basically see. So let's talk about the sourcing strategy. Defining the product is the first thing. So what am I looking for when I go online? What is the product that I need? Am I looking for something that needs multiple sources? Am I sourcing for raw material that I'm going to need one piece of material or equipment from one manufacturer and then another from another manufacturer, and I have to bring them together? Those are things within your strategy you have to consider. The description of the product and defining the product, it's extremely important, because from that is that you're going to choose your suppliers, which are your source. So in choosing those sources, then the next question is it domestic? Is it international? Where am I getting, where is my product coming from? And let me tell you, when you define the product, you have to define the product in terms of functionality, pricing. And these are the things that, because these things have interchangeably with each other, because if you don't determine what is going to be the cost, what is the price that you as a person looking for a source outside, what is the maximum price that you are going to pay for it? That needs to be in your strategy. Do I cap at $5? Now, how do you make the decision that it's going to be at $5? You have already done your analysis. You have already done your cost analysis and your pricing analysis. You're looking for a product that you want to maximize a profit. So you're looking for profit margin, higher profit margin. So that price that you're paying the supplier has a lot to do. So this is why you have to define the product mainly in terms of the price that you're paying for. What is the cost to you? Or is it single or multiple sources? The single or multiple sources, and we're going to discuss later on how you can put that together. You're going to look for, at least I always recommend 3 sources that I interview before I choose one. And the one that I choose has to be all in congruency with the risk analysis and the requirements that I have in the supplier profile. So when you set your guidelines for what does the supplier have to have, does he have to have a license? They need specific insurance. You ask for references. Does he have 2 or 3 references? How long they've been in business? So we're going to discuss all these points as we go further along in the presentation. Verifying the supplier process is one of the key things that you need to have within the requirements of when the sourcing a strategy. So let's talk about the platforms. Now, let me make this disclaimer right here. I am not saying that you should go to any of these sources that I'm going to show you right now. All I'm saying is that these are the ones that I have worked with. These are the ones that I worked with for many years, and they're simple. There's no one source that you're saying, okay, or platform that you say, okay, I can use this, but it's not good. No, there are a lot of other good sources out there and a lot of good other platforms out there that you can use. However, because I am very comfortable and I've worked in the past with all these platforms, I can talk to you about them. But just remember that I'm not saying that you should go ahead and use one of this. So let's talk about eWord Trade. This is a wholesale platform, and this is strictly B2B, which means it's only business to business. You can choose a specific country or area if you want to work in Latin America, if you want to source anywhere around the world, you can get it here. Now, one of the things you need to keep in mind is that this is a US company, but it's mainly located in Pakistan. That's where all of their offices are. So if you are doing business with anyone in that platform, you just become accustomed to the way that they verify their suppliers. I've never had a problem with it, but there are people that have reported to have a problem. So there is a pro and con through this platform. Now, Wholesale Central is a US company. And the reason I emphasize US company and for suppliers is that they focus on suppliers that are only in the US. And why do I say this is because when you're dealing with a supplier in the US, it's very simple, very easy for you to go to the information and assess information on the company, who they are, what they do, even as far as who do they bank with. So it's easy for information. You can, on this platform, you can look for product line, trade shows. Now there's a lot of virtual trade shows that you can go and source suppliers from the US in different categories. Now, you have to be also aware that many of the suppliers in the US, although they become a supplier to you on a wholesale level, their product may come from another country or from outside of the US. So when you're doing business with anyone on Wholesale Central, you should do your due diligence with the local authorities and seeing if even the domain name of that particular supplier is legit. Is there another, are they saying they're in the US but they're in India? So these are all the things in doing your due diligence that you can look into it. But Wholesale Central specifically caters only to US suppliers. So if you want to do business locally, this is the place that you may go. Now, I'm going to talk to you about Alibaba. Alibaba is one of the is a huge platform, and it's not only for Chinese suppliers, it's suppliers around the world. For instance, I'm a US company and I supply a service to different companies in which I source for products for companies. And I'm in the US and I've been on Alibaba for the last as a supplier for the last 20 years, because I remember they started in 1999, and I was one of the first people to get to Alibaba because I heard about it at the Canton Fair in one of the trade shows in China. So I was exposed to it very early in time. So I have been a gold supplier on Alibaba on and off. I go depending on the on the amount of business I need. But I'm going to go ahead and go over some other things. Is everybody seeing my screen? I'm going to go over this is my platform on Alibaba. So what I'm going to do is that
Carmen, we're not seeing your Alibaba screen. We're seeing your presentation still.
Okay. Can you see it now?
No.
You can see it?
Yes, we're seeing it now.
Okay. So you guys see me. Sorry. I just went through to the, okay. So this is my platform on Alibaba. This is not my website, but I can go to my website. But if I go here, it's gonna just take me a little bit. It's gonna just take me a little bit. It just locked me out. Just give it 1 minute. Let me just go to the platform because I don't want to log into all the other stuff. I just want to show you here. If you are qualifying a supplier on Alibaba, these are the things that you need to look for. The supplier needs to be verified. The supplier at least, see, the supplier has 12 years in business. That's a good sign. The supplier needs to be verified. But this supplier here, look at the difference between these two suppliers. This supplier here is 1 year in business, but it's gold. It's a gold supplier. A gold supplier meaning that they pay an amount of money for them to even be at that status of gold, of being a gold supplier. So if I want to make sure, if I want to go in depth into, let's choose another supplier. Let's choose a supplier who is verified. Being verified is either have to be verified or it has to be a gold. If you're a gold, you have been verified in terms of they have to visit your particular location. They have to visit your warehouse. They ask for business information. When I became a verified supplier, let's see if this gets me in here. My network is a little slow, so just give it a minute so I can share this other screen with you. Well, this is taking too long. I have to go back here. So as I was saying, if it's a gold supplier and is a 1 year vendor, I kind of have a question about it and saying, okay, this person may not be so equipped to provide me unless you're buying at a lower quantity. So I would say then let me look how I can deal with this particular vendor on a secure basis. This, I would say, it have to have trade assurance. Trade assurance means the vendor, the supplier does not get paid until I get my merchandise in my warehouse or in my store or my home, if you have a home-based business or whatever. So with the trade assurance, your payment that you make to the supplier it has an insurance and assurance that you will not be scammed. Now, I have to say, Alibaba, they're very good scammers on this website. I'm not going to lie to you. Some of them look so real because what they do is that they duplicate the website for the vendor. And if they duplicate the website for the vendor, everything becomes very real because you think you're talking to that particular company. I was just dealing with some people out of Dubai that, if it had not been because I've been doing this for so many years, they look so legit that they got me to a place that I wasted a few hours with them. But to say that, because I know many companies, many regions in China, I said, okay, Shenzhen is the place, this company is located in Shenzhen. And this company is located on Dongguan. So if I'm going to consider these two companies, I know that Shenzhen is the place where I can get anything for cell phone, electronics. That's the place. This region is not. So if I'm going to go ahead and make my choice, then I'll make my choice. Even if this company is a 1 year, it's just 1 year, I know it's a gold supplier. That means that it has been verified. And then I can contact them. And I'm going to discuss various ways in which you can also go ahead and have agents that can go and verify that particular supplier. But on this platform of Alibaba, you can find just about anyone. If it gets to the point, in just about anyone in any country, if it gets to the point where you still feel kind of doubt about should I order from them, then you do what is called sample orders. You order a couple samples. The companies are more than likely to say yes. And if the supplier says no, that means that's a red flag that you have to write down. You got to remember, when you're interviewing suppliers, you have the control, because you are the client, you are the customer, and you're the one who is requesting the information. So as you see here, most of the suppliers on Alibaba are in China. And there are some few around the US and other countries. But verify the supplier, make sure it's either a goal. I normally, it has to be a very, very good price for me to even try to deal with someone who's just operating for 1 year. I kind of don't trust. And also you have to also look at the transaction levels. How many transactions have they done? Oh, 45, 70,000 plus suppliers in 6 months. So that's pretty good. So these are the things that you need to look before you go ahead, and when you interview in a supplier. You could also communicate with them right here. The communication process, you can always start the process with, where am I? Okay, here we go. So you can always start the process of communicating with different suppliers, no matter where they are. Now with the situation with COVID-19, a lot of suppliers that used to do very large quantities are now doing small quantities because they just want the business. And like I said, many suppliers don't deal with low quantities, but sometimes they have what is called overruns in their factory, and they get rid of it at a very small quantity level. So this is for Alibaba. Then there is Reference USA. For this one, this is your local library. This is in the US. This is a US platform, very safe, and a lot of information. You can do a lot of things, but you need a library card. You go to your library and then you get on this platform. You
Carmen,
can
I'm so sorry. Are you showing the screen? Because I think we're still on Alibaba.
Oh, okay. Can you see it now?
We're back to your slide
Okay.
presentation. Okay.
Okay, so I was saying, but let me repeat that then. Reference USA, it's another platform and it's very secure, it's in the US, and you need a library card in order, or be a member of a library in order to go use it. On this platform, you can source even by zip code. It breaks it down to market share. It does a lot of things. Excuse me. That you can go ahead and look in a supplier. So when you're doing your source, when you're designing your source strategy, when you go to the requirement aspect of the strategy, then you can look into all the different things. Well, does it have to be my same zip code? Why do I need it to be my same zip code, or even my same state, or because these are things that affect profit margins. If your supplier, let's say, is in California and you in New York, and there is another supplier in New Jersey or in Delaware, it affects your profit margin because you're paying transportation on any product. So when you're pre-qualifying a supplier in the requirement areas, that should be one of them. I created a profile for all my suppliers. And when I source for a specific company, that I make the perfect match with different suppliers and products, then everything has to go as per that profile. Now, global sources are also, I've been doing business in that platform, oh geez, since 93. It used to be called before Asia Resource. That's what it used to be called. And this is at a very large scale. Excuse me. At a very large scale, you can, I remember I used to purchase 20, 30,000 yards of fabric on suppliers here, but now they also have a site that is for wholesalers only. So they do also small quantities, but you can find pretty large suppliers and you can negotiate pretty good prices. They now also have an online trade shows that are virtual trade shows is what they're calling it for the last 6 months, that you can go ahead and look at suppliers. There are other sources, like I said. I'm not saying that this is a particular one that you should look into, but these are the ones that I've been using for years, and they work pretty good. So if you are qualifying a supplier, look into the sources. Okay, Priscilla, there you go. Now, can you see my screen?
Yes, I'm seeing it's on qualifying. Well, you're moving it.
Okay, no. Okay, can you see it? Okay.
Yeah, matching process.
So matching the process, choosing the supplier and the vendor that best fits your business as per your strategy. Remember, follow the description in your strategy to determine thus you in the middle and everybody else is around you. I choose to recommend only no more than 3 at a time. And if you need various sources, let's say you are manufacturing a product, you have a garment that needs buttons, zippers, so you're going to need various suppliers, because one supplier doesn't supply the entire all the ingredients or all the raw material that particular product needs. So that's when you go depending on the need of the business. So you have to determine who would be your supplier. Is it a manufacturer? Are you purchasing in mass quantity that you need a manufacturer? And remember, each level affects your profit margin. A distributor, a wholesaler, or is it just another vendor that has products that you may need and you just want to sell it for a smaller profit? Determine where you're buying from. Is it the US, China, India, Mexico, just to mention a few countries? I particularly, if I'm sourcing a supplier from outside the US, I go for trade agreements where I can go ahead and save the most money to the client. Now, how do I know the supplier is legit? You see all those platforms that we discussed, that I show you previous slides ago. You could always contact the platform itself, their customer service, and say, I am dealing with a specific supplier and I have concerns. I am not so sure if they're legit. Can you tell me how many profiles do they have? So they normally search them for by the business name. On Alibaba, I have had cases in which the supplier has 2 or 3 profiles. So I have to determine, they have to assist me in determining which of the suppliers is the legit one. And as I said to you before, you have to do all these you due diligence on all these things, because it's the money is your money that you're putting out, and you have to make sure that you're dealing with someone who is legit, who is not just going to take your money, or you just going to send them, because most of the suppliers, they do business this way. You pay first and then you get the product. So that's why you have to have the assurance. For those in the US, it's very simple. Ask for a tax ID number. You can search and see what is this tax ID number, if they're legit with the IRS. And that's very simple. If they have licenses or permits. Many in other countries, not only in the US, you need licenses and permits for some products and services. But outside of the US, if anybody wants to sell anything, sometimes they have to be either registered with a certain license or permit in the local government where they're doing business, not at a state level. So in doing your due diligence, look for, interview them. How? As per your strategy, the source strategy that you're putting together. And as you go and you get more experience, you will be asking the questions, and anything that pertains to your business that is the perfect fit for your business, you should include it in that profile. As also for those who are outside of the US, which is mainly what I deal with, ask for the US Embassy for assistance. Any country that has a US Embassy, that's they have what is called a Department of Commercial Services. They have a representative there on land working, and this representative job is to deal with the businesses, to have those companies that want to do business with with US companies. Like for instance, I have asked some embassies to give me the list of different delegates that they have. These are delegates, they call it delegates, the companies that register with the US embassies that want to do business with US companies. So what they do in different countries, they go and register and say, hey, I'm a company in West Africa. I want to do business with some company in the US. Can you make me part of the list? And they scan these companies. They also issue reports that you have to pay for, but the cost is very minimal if you really want to place like a large order. If you place in a $5,000 order and you want to pay $100 for a report that is going to tell you how legit that particular company is, then you might as well do it. So you contact them, and most also look for chambers of commerce. Most companies are registered with different chambers of commerce. So you can contact them and see if they're even profile on that chamber of commerce. That could be also a way that you can tell whether it's legit or not. Place sample orders, like I said. If you need 500 units and you say, okay, well, let me just get 50 and see how the whole process and the logistic and everything, how everything goes from step to step. Then if you're satisfied, that could be part of the satisfaction that you have, could be part of of what goes into that particular supplier profile. Then consider payment terms to minimize risk. And what do I mean about this? Remember I said verified suppliers. I use only suppliers which are verified, because they take that platform in that form of verification. They take the money, I make the payment, but when I receive the merchandise, let's say my merchandise is coming from another country. When I receive the merchandise and I inspect the merchandise, then the supplier get paid. Then when I give that permission, if not, I have the option to return that merchandise and my money is returned to me. So that's one of the ways that you minimize risk. So I have also a way, I have a 3-step that I use also for many suppliers. I mainly do this when I need a raw material. The who, the what, and the where. So I identify who. Well, who is it? The company name and organizational structure. Yeah, sometimes I have to do this because sometimes I'm ordering at a container level. So if I'm ordering a container of, let's say, raw material from India, and I want this to be put in Colombia, and I see the organizational structure of the company, they're claiming that their their timeline and their production, it's a million gallon of such and such, and they're saying that they're just a limited liability company. I'm like, no way. So that doesn't make sense. So these are the things why you need to also look in the process of verification. How many years they're in business? Mainly I use this for raw materials, and when I'm sourcing different parts sourcing different parts from different places and various sources. What is the product category? Why product category? Well, what does it fall in? Okay, so they say they sell powder, but yet they in the restaurant industry that has nothing to do with baby powder. So you have to, these are the red flags that you start comparing and ask yourself questions when you look into the pre-qualification process. The quality assurance, order a sample and see what does it feel like? Is it what you're looking for? And then if they have any certification and licenses, then the step 3 is where are they? What country or region? Okay, so you're telling me you're in Texas, and you're telling me that your production line, that you ship 5-6 containers every week, but yet you're not in the coastal line. You are in the middle where there is no piers, there's no ports there, and then you're not even in an industrial area. That's fine that your corporate office is not in an industrial area, but where is your your warehouse? Where does all your logistics take place? So these are the questions that I ask. I use mainly for large orders, and when I have to source a supplier that I need a different raw material from different suppliers at a large quantity. So the risks, in doing a risk assessment, when conducting the risk assessment, identifying the hazard. How can it be harmed? Can I lose my money? And evaluate the risk. Plan to identify potential fraud. As I said before, they are looking for you out there. The scammers are looking for you. It's huge. This is how they make their money. And once you make the payment, you cannot get that money back because they completely disappear. So continue to look for red flags. Just keep an eye open and continue to look for red flags when conducting the risk assessment. Then when minimizing risk, I normally do surprise visit. Now I know that now it's harder. So if I'm doing business with someone online, sometimes I have clients that I've never met, and I've been doing business with them for almost 8 years. I have clients in Dubai. I met 2 of the clients from Dubai, but I have clients I've never been to Russia, but I have clients in Russia. And I deal with them at a different level. So in doing a surprise visit, you say, oh, well, how am I going to do a surprise visit in China? Well, you can pay an agent. Even in the US, if you're doing business with someone, let's say in California, and you're here in New Jersey, and you can call an agent. Agents don't cost that much. Find an agent to do a video call with you, and then you do your own inspection. Some of these agents are certified. For those who are doing large orders, use an inspection agency that has a certified agent that can go and inspect the goods. Well, I use it a lot when I'm using, let's say I recently sent a container from Florida, and the client send the agent, the client is in Colombia, and the client send the agent to Florida from a company in Florida who charged them $300, but the investment was $180,000. So it's minimal when you see that someone is going to go there and certify that all the goods are in the container they can pick up. So using an agent, all of these things minimize risk. So in summary, I'm going to open it for questions right now. Contact the platform, excuse me, or the vendor on whatever platform. Even if you have doubts on Shopify, or Amazon has a pretty secure way of verifying their vendors. Verify with their domain name also. Go to this website that I have here, and you can verify if the domain name, the supplier is telling you, oh, I'm in New York, but yet the domain name is registered somewhere else outside of the US or somewhere. You can find out. Ask for tax ID number, get references. And for those who are doing international purchases, also you can use the assistance of US Department of Commercial Services. Always follow your sourcing strategy to minimize risk. Keep it minimum. Remember, work with small MOQ, minimum order. If you ask for many suppliers, the first thing they want to do is they want to give you this large amount. You don't have to settle for that. You are in control, and you are the one who needs to make sure that you'll get what you want, and that everything goes according to the profile and your sourcing strategy. Now, this is my email, and I'm going to open it now for Q&A. So are there any questions, Priscilla?
For now, I see some Tara Richardson. She asks, do you have an agent that you can refer that I can use?
I don't do referrals of agents, but I can tell you there are many companies, and it depends where what country you need it in. If you can always go to the chambers of commerce of in that particular area, and they can always refer you to someone.
Great. Dixon says, I'll take this question. Will the slides be available after the presentation? Dixon, yes, I did mention that earlier, that the slides along with a recording of today's webinar will be sent out within 48 hours. Okay. Anyone has any other questions? Please post it. You can use the chat, or you can use the Q&A section. That's preferred. Lachey asked, when ordering international, how can you determine if shipping cost is a good price?
This is how you can determine. Remember in the beginning, I said that you have to determine the price of the particular product. So now, if you see that you're paying $10 for a product, and mainly like many, let's say it's China, and it's $10, and then it's $50 for the product to get to you, that's not a good choice. But if within norms, you can get quotes from local shipping companies in the US, and you can compare. So you can only determine if it's a good price if it fits your sourcing strategy when it comes to price, and within the price that you can sell out to cost. So if it's costing you $10 and you say, okay, can I make 65, 100% profit margin on this, then you can make the determination. But the cost and the price and the shipping, it cannot exceed 150% of the product.
Okay. Is there any other questions? Feel free to post it in the chat or the Q&A. We do have some time.
I think there is another question. How does the reason U.S. tariffs and COVID-19 affect small business in America doing business international? Has the price increased for supplies? No, I have not come across prices increase. I in some raw materials, because of the supply and demand, of course, prices have increased. Like, you know, mask, PPE, those prices have increased, but it's because of supply and demand, which always apply. The minute that dies, those prices will go down. Any other question? I give it a minute or so for if you have any other questions. I covered a lot of information, so if you have any questions, this is your time to ask.
Okay, Gisela asked, is a bulk order shipping from Alibaba for a bulk order of 600? The shipping is 200. Is that okay for shipping?
I would negotiate that. Well, it depends. Okay, you need to ask whether it's on if it's ocean or air. You need to ask that, or if it's consignment, because you can negotiate. I would negotiate that.
Okay. Dr. Ndora, I see your hands raised. Is there a question that you want to ask?
No, I was going to type a question, but I was thinking, you know, Carmen, you know, you and I have traveled before, and there are certain cultural norms or certain ways of doing business with suppliers that we discovered or we have found out. Do you have any tips on that that you could share with the participants?
Well, yeah, when, you know, if that, like for instance, the question about $600 and $200 shipping, you know, when they say that, they're giving you, like, I'm sure you can negotiate that down, you know, to probably $100. Sometimes they're just going, especially in the Chinese culture, in China and most places in West Africa and even in Latin America. When they say a price, it's not a fixed price. It's not like the US that you're working with logistics here and they have a set price. They don't have a set price. So in some of this culture, you should always negotiate. There's always a lot of room, especially in China.
Oh, and the other thing that you might also want to let them know is about port of shipment and port of production, because some suppliers will say, especially manufacturing, will say you will pick it from their factory and their port of shipment is miles. It's in another town.
Yeah, I discussed that. Yeah, I discussed.
Oh, okay. Maybe I missed
yeah, I discussed the coastal, in the coastal area. You know, they tell you, you know, they're like 100 miles, especially in China. You know, things are not close to each other. They tell you, oh, you can pick it up from the warehouse, but they're like, you're gonna pay a shipping company to go pick up, but they didn't tell you they're 200 miles away from the piers from where you're shipping. And so the shipping company that you're hiring says, okay, but we got to charge you. They charge you by the mile. So you have to be very careful, because those are what is called hidden costs. So if you come across that, you have to be very clear. So where are you located? This is why within your sourcing, within your sourcing strategy, the requirements that you have to have in there, because it affects your cost. If the product is costing you $10 and you have to pay somebody to go pick it up 200 miles away from the coast, then that's a problem. Or away from the airport, that's a big problem, because you have to cover that charge, and that's a fee that you're going to have to add on to your product, which may not be feasible for you to get that product and to get it in the marketplace, because it cuts on your profit margin. So you always have to remember that you have to focus on the profit margin of that particular product that you're sourcing. So that supplier has to kind of be have the perfect fit for what you're looking for.
Okay, we have another question from Lachey. Lachey asks, on Alibaba, how many years of business do you recommend if gold, I guess if its supplier is gold, but not verified?
Well, I have done business, as I explained before. A gold supplier it's also a verified supplier. However, a gold supplier, it's someone that they have literally physically gone to the place where, to their warehouse or to where their store, or so if it's a verified supplier or a gold supplier and it's a 1 year and it's the perfect price, and you have someone that has already gone there to verify it, then that's fine. I would feel comfortable with it.
So it doesn't matter the years, if it said 1 or 2 or 3 years.
It does matter the years. It does matter the years, because if I'm ordering, if a supplier saying that they can supply me with that their capacity is 30,000 per month, but yet I see that I'm one of the first person they're doing business with, I put that in question. So the years, the more the years, to me, the more solid the relationship that you can develop with them and the service that they can provide to you. It's called experience. It's called that they have been out and remember when I show you on Alibaba to go look for the places where how many clients have they service in a particular time? That I covered, one had serviced 48 in the last 6 months, a capacity of 70,000 units. So the years does matter, but like I said, if someone that is giving you an excellent price and the information that they're providing about themselves does not make sense, does not look like it's kind of legit, I question it. Any other question? Priscilla.
I'm not seeing any more. I guess last call. Last call for questions, and then we'll close. Charlotta asks, I'm starting my own workout clothing line, and I find it so hard to find good quality clothing using Alibaba. How can I find a good vendor? I've had so many samples that was not worth paying for.
That's because you're not giving specification. You have to give, when you're searching, you have to, even if you're talking to any manufacturer, you have to give them specs, the specification, even to the fiber that you're looking for. You have to be very, very detailed. When you create that product profile and when you classify the product, you need to look and give them specifics. I am very sure that you can find someone. There's definitely, I'm very sure. I go on Asia Resource, one of the ones that I discussed. So when it comes to the apparel industry, that I think they're even better. But you can, Almost sure you can find that on Alibaba too as well. Sourcing some platforms from Canada also as well, you get pretty good, but you have to be very specific on the fabric that you want to use. And you have to, and are you giving them, my question to you is, are you giving them the grading on the pattern, and you giving them the pattern and everything? Because they're not just going to make you a sample unless the way you want it, unless you specifically give them everything that they need to produce that sample for you.
Okay. Lachey followed up with her question. She asks, can you negotiate international shipping costs for samples? Because I've tried and they basically said it was set.
No, you can also create your own account with DHL for them to pick up. The shipping cost, it's always negotiable. At least I don't have problems with it.
Hi, Carmen, can I add? I have found that when I use my own DHL account, or when I use my customs broker's account for shipping, especially for samples, it's very expensive. So
is the product classified, Tendai?
It's like for samples. I'm talking about samples for.
No, even samples. The product has to be classified, because the cost of coming in sometimes is a customs that they even, you have to, if you specify that the product is only staying in the U.S., the sample for a specific period of time, that has a lot to do with the cost also as well. Sometimes you bring samples from another country. Let's say if I bring samples from China, those samples, and it's 5, 10, whatever, I have to declare them and say they're staying in the US or outside of the US. That carries a cost. Another thing is that if the product is specifically classified, and you're right, the shipper sometimes, their DHL account sometimes is cheaper because they send in mass quantity every day, so they get a better price. But
so that's the point I wanted to make, that I've been asking my Chinese suppliers to use their shipper, because they ship more overseas in different countries, Europe, USA. So they get better rates than I would get as a small business. And the other thing, since I'm in apparel, one thing that I learned with bringing in supplies is I don't ask them to put a label, like my designer label, my private label, or if they do put my private label on samples, they have to cut it. And this is what a customs broker at Newark Airport, when I brought in samples, told me they have to cut the label so that
it's not commercialized.
But it's not commercialized. So those are little tricks of the trade that you learn. But one of the things that you want to make sure is, if the supplier can organize their shipping from their country, especially for samples that you want air freighted, it's a lot cheaper than to use an American FedEx or DHL. You will pay a significant amount than to have your manufacturer organize their shipper, and you just pay them in the price of doing business.
But you have to remember, most of these suppliers, sometimes in China, they do a small quantity. They don't have a big account with DHL. So to me, I use my account because I've been using it for so many years, and I get pretty good quotes. But you're right. Most of the suppliers, well, when we've been in shipping different things from China, you remember, I was once going to use my account. I says, what? You're going to send this box for $190? Then no, I'd rather go with you. But in some places, I use my own.
So that's
cheaper. So it's better that you get a quote both ways.
Because they've got other companies like EMS, other
China Post, all these
that are cheaper, much cheaper than US companies.
Mhm.
Not that we are discouraging you from using US companies, but
No,
I'm
it's
saying
true.
that you
It's
are a small business and you need to make financial decisions that will increase your profit margin, as Carmen said.
you remember, you have to stay focused on profit margins. And also there are services that you use. There's services that you use to do this for you. If you want to focus on your product yourself, and then on the product itself and what you're producing, and you want someone else to do this for you, that's something that you can put in your budget and have someone else do it for you. But the logistics is it's very competitive. You can always look for different companies that are offering different prices, and you can negotiate these prices with different companies. Any other question?
I don't see any more. I think that sums up all the questions.
I think also the other trick is to look for suppliers. There are all these trade shows that come into Javits Center, that come into Miami, that come into California, in Los Angeles. If you can attend your industry trade shows to find suppliers there, it's worth the investment.
Well, right now, all the trade shows are canceling.
And all the trade shows are now canceled, but that's something to think of. If they have virtual.
But there's virtual trade shows that you can you can attend, but it's the same process of qualifying.
Pre-qualifying, correct.
Yeah. It's the process is you have to do there's no way around it. You have to do your due diligence, because it's your investment, it's your money, and you have to do that. Don't think that sometimes people call me, oh, Carmen, I need solar panels from this. Sourcing is very, very difficult if you don't know, if you don't have a process or system in place. This is why there are companies that this is all they do. They just source the product for you and match you with the right supplier and the perfect supplier that is going to give you higher profits. So if there aren't any other questions, I thank everyone for being on this webinar. I believe that there are other webinars coming up. So Priscilla, you can take it over.
Yes. Yes, thanks to everyone for turning out and attending the webinar. Our contact information is on the screen. If you would like to follow up and has a consultation on sourcing or finding suppliers, feel free to take advantage of the services of the SBDC, as I alluded to earlier. These are free at no cost to you. It's paid for by your tax dollars. Simply visit our website at www.rnsbdc.com and complete our request for counseling form, and we will assign you a consultant who would then reach out to you and assist you with any issues that you may have, or any sourcing or supplier questions that you may have. We also have some webinars that are coming up. Please take a look at our calendar on our website. Under training, you would find a listing of our webinars. They are free. So please sign up. Friday, I think our webinar on Friday is going to be fundamentals of digital marketing. And so that would be a really great workshop to attend. And Saturday, we also have accessing capital to grow your business. Those are the next two webinars this week that are no cost to you to attend. So please sign up. If there's no other questions, and Carmen, again, thanks to you for another information-packed webinar. We look forward to seeing you on your next webinar. I think that's in a week or two, about sales, the art of closing sales.
Oh, really?
So we look forward to seeing you at that webinar, as well as I think there's another webinar called Leveraging Global Resources to Grow Your Business. That's another great webinar.
Global markets, leveraging global markets, yeah.
Yes, and that's a really great webinar for those that are getting involved in to import or export in their products from overseas or even here.
Oh yeah, that's September 3rd, yes.
Okay, so again, as I mentioned, you will be receiving a copy of today's slides and a video recording in about 24 to 48 hours, so please be on the lookout for that. And so with that, we will end today's webinar. Thank you, and we hope to see you again. Have a good day.